We're on there at 9 o'clock on every weekday night, taking calls about the Jazz.
Hello, good evening and welcome. Welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Fox, here on the show this evening is one and only Mark Walters, a true Rangers legend. Evening, Mark. How we doing, mate?
Good evening. Thank you. Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on as well. Really appreciate it.
All right, mate. Look, before we start, first and foremost, thanks for taking the time to join us. A pleasure to speak to you. It was a pleasure watching you, mate. Enjoyed your skills, but I'm sure we'll come to that as the hero worshipping goes on in the next hour or so. Listen, one of the things that intrigued me the day when I was looking at some of your stuff, and I've got to ask you this, the name Everton, what was the connotation there? And I thought West Indian family, Everton Weeks.
Apparently my father at the time wanted to call me Pele or Santos, believe it or not. But,
all right, okay.
Because he's a big football fan, and he's an ex-international himself. And my mother was having none of it, so she said no. And an auntie of mine liked the name Everton, and she liked it as well, and that's how the Everton name came. Not for football reasons at all. You know, to be honest with you, I don't think she knows what at the time, especially one end of a football field to the other. So it wasn't that she's a football fan. It's just Everton is just a popular name at the time, and that's how I got it. Really, isn't it? Yeah. So
the football gene came for your father then?
Yeah, my father, he was a good player, and he played international football for Nigeria.
Right, okay.
Where he was born, so that's where the football thing, or football talent, I suppose, if you want to call it that, came from. He had another son as well who was a martial arts expert as well. He had 3 world champion, kickboxing champion, and fought for the British title as well, boxing. So quite a sporting family he had anyway, for sure.
They could both use their feet then, his sons, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So, I wish I could kick some people in the head when I was playing them, mind you, myself, but no, it was thankfully I never did.
So, your mother and father, different backgrounds, end up Birmingham. You're raised in Birmingham. Your love for the game, when did it start, mate?
Quite early. Because at first, believe it or not, I wanted to be a soldier, really. For some reason, I really loved watching the films, and I was a little child. I used to watch the films and collect all the little coupons they used to have in the paper at the time, and I built up a load of coupons, apparently, so my mother tells me. But I think it was when she told me that it's not that romantic as it looks in the films, and you can actually die, and it's very dangerous. And I think that was the deciding factor when I thought, actually, football is not only a little bit more simpler, but you can play again the next following week possibly as well. So that was when I just tunneled everything into football. So you're talking about 5-6 years of age is when I thought, hopefully I could become a professional footballer.
To be fair, the soldier and the football, there would have been people trying to kill you in both occasions.
Good point. Yeah, good point. You're not wrong, actually. You're not wrong.
So you started playing, obviously, like most people, you start playing with your mates, you start playing, you start playing school, you start playing youth club, football clubs. What happened there?
I used to play with my friends, and the first, I think, organised, I played from a junior school. There was probably about 8 or 9, and one of the players in the team had I think his friend of his father ran a Sunday team, and I played for them as well in the end. And they had some association with Craig Shakespeare's father, the ex Leicester City manager. His father ran one of the teams, and unfortunately, he passed away at the early age. He would have only been in his 30s. And so we had to. So that team disbanded, and I went to play for another team, Dunlop Terriers, who actually was a kind of nursery team to Aston Villa, who had players there from called Brendan Owensby. He played for them, and Bob Hazel, the ex-Wolves player, he played for them as well. So they had a lot of ex-professionals playing in the squad. So someone said to me, if you play for them, you might get a chance to even get a trial at Aston Villa. So that was one of the motivating things for me to move to Dunlop Terriers, where they were called in Birmingham.
So when did it click for you? When was it? 12, 13, 14 when you thought I can have a go at this? Or
well, playing for this team, Dunlop Terriers, Aston Villa came along, and I'd only be about 10. They said come for trials and stuff. So I did that, and they really treated me well. As in, they used to give, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of kit or boots. Although I did find that later, because I did have some decent boots occasionally, and I just only found out about 15 years ago that my mother, who worked for the West Midlands Transport, used to go into lost property and get these boots. So I used to think I had some great boots, but really they were, someone else had worn them before me, and from lost property. But in the meantime, when they were broken, Aston Villa used to get me some boots and, a little bit of kit for school and things like that. So they really treated me well, and ended up signing for Aston Villa at the age of about 13 on schoolboy forms. And really went well, and ended up playing for England schoolboys, and really, really went well with that as well. And when I left school at 15, 16, they asked me to sign professional forms. They called it YTS at the time, youth forms they were, and I signed there and really made some progress. Yeah,
quite quickly. I mean, Villa then, they were just in the cusp, just around about 1980. And obviously they won the league and they won the European Cup. So you were playing. There were some decent players running about the Villa team then, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, admittedly, the first year when I left school as an apprentice, and I wasn't involved a lot with the team, but I did train occasionally with them when they were preparing for games, and I'd join in. And Ron Saunders, who was the manager at the time, he'd asked me to come over and train with these great players who I admired and who I was watching on Match of the Day, the weeks before. So that was really fantastic as well. And that year they won the league out of underdogs as well. So it was really unexpected. Won the league, and although I didn't play that year, that was a fantastic introduction to professional football, because I was mixing with these players and seeing how their attitude was. And people like Kenny Swain, who is a fantastic pro, used to told me I needed to, beef up a bit. I was very skinny, and give me abdominal exercises to do, and all these pros and people with it telling me what to eat and things like that. Although it wasn't as sophisticated as it is now, I think what we did then was just, instead of eating basically rubbish, I think you just told me to eat brown bread, which was a fantastic step forward at the time,
Sports science. Who was your heroes then? 16 years of age in that Villa team, or in football as a whole? Who was your heroes?
Yeah. Well, the team itself, we had some great players, but a couple of years before that, they had players like Brian Little in the team, and he was my favourite player. Yeah, and he was my favourite player, Brian Little. But he was just coming to the end of his career due to injury, actually, so he hadn't played for a year or two. So, but what made me stand out is because when I used to go up for training at school holidays, he's a really approachable person, and he used to speak to me. He heard that I was, obviously one of the better young players at the club, and he had a quick chat with him and explained that he couldn't play much due to his knee keeps swelling up, and that always remember that, and he became one of my favourite players before that anyway. But I love the way that he spoke to me and encouraged me to get my head down, and hopefully I might get into get a contract from the club. But he played up front with a guy called Keith Leonard, who became my youth manager. So those kind of players I liked, I enjoyed watching. And obviously, the first team was doing well. So, Gary Shaw, Peter Witt, Tony Morley were fantastic players at the time.
Player, Tony Morley, great player to watch, mate.
Absolutely, yeah. So those are the kind of players I liked and admired, and wanted to emulate when hopefully I was going to become a professional, yeah.
Yeah, and Peter Witt, some centre forward there.
Yeah, it was a no-nonsense centre forward. Worked extremely hard. I always remember sitting on the bench as a 16-year-old, and Ron Saunders used to say to me, watch this man run around and how hard he works. And I think he's probably telling me because I don't work hard. I don't know if he was trying to tell me something, but he used to say, watch this man, how hard he works. And it's funny because I became good friends with Gary Shaw, and Gary Shaw was his partner that day, and he says, "And look how lazy that player is," and so I always wound up Gary about that. But he was just a fantastic role model for all the young players because he worked so hard and he never gave up. He was a very, very determined player.
You broke into the Villa team. You first get your debut at 17 years of age, mate. That's early. And were you know, or did you grasp it?
No, I was in all of the players. You got to remember, as I said, weeks before, I'd been watching them on Match of the Day and things like that, and training. And I was lucky enough to train with them a few times, and I played in reserves quite a lot. So I was mixing with them, but I was still admiring how professional they were, and it wasn't a job; it was a vocation. They prepared properly, ate properly, and all sorts. So it was just fantastic to be involved. And then, even the night I only lived about 1 kilometre away from the ground, so I walked to the ground that day, and was told that I was actually on the bench sub. So that was scary as in itself with the full house. We were playing Leeds United at the time, who had some great players as well. And I was an admirer of Barnes, Eddie Gray, and all those kind of players who were playing for Leeds at the time. So yeah, I was in awe a little bit, and I came on and I ran around. I don't think I touched the ball much, but it was a great experience. And I remember it like it was yesterday because, as I said, it was one of those things as a child. You have ambitions to play for your local team, play for England, playing cup finals. And I was lucky enough to tick off one of them at 17, which was play for my local team. So, yeah, it was a great, great time for me.
I mean, you say your local team. To be fair, Aston Villa, they're not just any team. I mean, they're one of the driving forces of English football. Obviously, they're in the Championship just now, but we're still better because we reckon that the Rangers support, they robbed us for that semi-final of the FA Cup in 1873, mate. But we'll let that one go.
Yeah, even I weren't around then.
So we move on, and the next season you started playing regular, you started scoring goals, you started playing in the FA Cup. You were 18 years of age and you became a regular in the Villa first team. You're living every boy's dream, mate. Yeah,
it was literally, living the dream. It was because, as I said, not being at the club very long as a professional and being in and around the first team players, the crowd, some full houses. I mean, that year the Super Cup was, and playing it in a game against Barcelona, going over to the new camp, and Maradona was at the club at the time. Luckily for us, he was injured, so he didn't play that against us. So we got a good result over there, and then back at Villa Park. We I think we could have been a couple of down as well, but we ended up winning the game after extra time, and it was just a fantastic roller coaster for me. As I say, first year the club winning the league, second year winning the Champions League as it is now, and then the third year winning the Super Cup. So there's me, as a young pro thinking, this is easy. What's all the fuss about? You know what I mean? It's like school football, But obviously, as I later knew that football wasn't as cozy and as smooth as that,
So obviously, Villa, they were pretty consistent after that, but obviously ultimately they ended up quite quickly, which we wouldn't have believed a few years after it. Relegation, absolutely. And you were a mainstay of the team, but it looked for an outsider looking in at the time. They were always changing their manager. Yeah. I think that was part of the reason there was no consistency.
Oh, without doubt, maybe some of the managers weren't there for the right reasons as well. But there were, a couple were untried as well, and mainly the problem in my eyes was that the club ambitions weren't the same as it was before. They were now getting rid of the players, all of these mainstays that won the European Cup for them. They were dismantling the team, and although I was part of the youth team that won the Youth Cup, which is the biggest competition in England for young players. Mm-hmm. So we had some great potential in the team. We were too young. We were too young to sustain that kind of level of winning the league or competing for the league. So although we had some great young players, we just weren't enough experienced players to balance that out. And as you say, we dropped down the league dropped down the table a lot, and it ultimately got relegated, which was devastating for the club. And devastating for people like me who were still ambitious and wanted to achieve things. So as I realised that the club's ambitions didn't match mine. I knew it was time to leave as myself. And the final reason why I decided was because I remember Dennis Morton, who was captain of the Champions League team only 4 years before. He'd been there for 9.5 years and didn't get a testimonial, which at the time, with not as much money around as there is now, at the time was one of the reasons why, as a player, you would stay at the club, because that would be one of the bonuses of staying at a club and being loyal, is the fact that you could get a testimonial. And he was there 9.5 years, so a testimonial, he got released. So I thought if they could do that to the captain of, one of the biggest competitions they've ever won, they could do that to little old me from Aston, you know what I mean? So I made sure that if their ambitions didn't match mine, I would try and leave, yeah.
So the Christmas of 1987, there's a lot of talk in the press.
Yeah.
The two clubs that are linked with you strongly were Everton, who were them and Liverpool were the force in English football at that particular time, and Rangers. Run us through how you ended up. Did you ever think you would come to Scotland? Was it the Graham Souness factor? What happened and how did it come about?
Yeah, well, I'd spoken to, I think, Harry Bassett's team. I can't remember I couldn't be Watford or Luton. I can't remember now. It's that long ago. And I went to speak to them, and someone said to me, "Mark, I think you shouldn't go there. I think you're better than that." And although no all due respect to Watford, who I think they were Watford at the time, great club there as they are, they just said to me, "You think you can do better? That you can get a big club." And so I waited a few months, and as you say, come Christmas time, Everton came in for me. So the club agreed a fee with them, and but on the night before I was supposed to go and speak to Everton, the phone rang, and I have some practical jokers friends, as it were, and someone came on the phone with a Scottish accent, and I'm thinking it's one of my mates taking a mickey a bit, you know what I mean? But it was Graham Souness, so I said, "Come on, stop taking the mickey, John." I think John was the one who'd done all the voiceovers and the characters. And I said, "No, stop." He said, "No, it's Graham Souness. I know you're going to speak to Everton tomorrow, but would you do us the courtesy of just coming to speak to us after? I know there's no European football in England at the moment as well, and there's other little bits and pieces that I'm sure you'll love in Scotland." So I said, yeah, I will do. And my agent and I explained it to my agent. So he said, after we speak to Everton, we'll go up to Scotland and to Glasgow and have a speak to Graham Souness, who I admired as a player anyway. So, and I knew about what was going on up there. A lot of big English players had gone up there. Chris Woods, Terry Butcher, etc., had gone up there and were causing havoc with the how much progress they'd made, and telling good things about Glasgow Rangers and stuff. So I knew a little bit about. And also, David Cooper was one of my favourite players as well.
All right, okay.
Scotland. And I always remember watching the goal he scored against Celtic, where he knocked the ball over about 3 people's heads. And,
Drybrough Cup final, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I knew a little bit about Scottish football, but not a lot, if I'm really honest. So I have to speak to Everton, who were fantastic, and Colin Harvey, the manager, sold the club to me. But admittedly, they were out of European football, which, as you know, I started basically at Villa, going through all that, playing against Juventus in the quarterfinals, playing against Michel Platini and all these kind of players, which really thrilled me at the time. So I thought, no, let me go and speak to Graham and see what he's got to say. And after I spoke to Everton, flew up to Glasgow, and I think it was Walter met me at the airport, came in and drove me to the stadium. And as soon as he drove me to the stadium, because I'd never been there before, opened the marble halls there, or the staircase, and I saw it, and I was like, wow, what an amazing club. No one has ever, I've never seen anything like this in England, as it were, you know what I mean? Although it was similar to Aston Villa's, but it was different with the marble staircases and that. So that impressed me. Came up there, Graham sold the club to me. After he spoke to me, he opened the shutters and let me go into the stadium and put the lights on, actually put the old lights on. Although the stadium was empty, put the lights on for me, and I could see the old stadium. And literally, that was it. I was sold on that. And it was a fantastic atmosphere, even though the place was empty. And I was smitten already. So, yeah, I said, that's where I'd love to play football. And the rest is history, as it were. Yeah, signed the next day.
Yeah, well, there was no transfer window then. You could sign whenever you liked if somebody made an offer. I think
That's
we
right.
signed in New Year's Eve to 1987, yeah?
Yeah, that's about
Uh,
right. Yeah, I was
yeah.
on a week-to-week contract as well. So although the Bosman ruling hadn't come in yet, as long as the clubs agreed a fee, I could leave. And yeah, it was a fantastic offer anyway. As in the European football, I was going to play with Ray Wilkins, Terry Butcher, Trevor Francis was there, who was an amazing player for Birmingham City, my local area. So all these things I knew already. I thought, yeah, I'm going to definitely give this a go. Yeah, and I was obviously glad I did.
Signed on the 31st of December. Made your debut in a game that's became infamous in Scottish football.
Yeah.
You ran out at Celtic Park. We obviously lost the game 2-0. I take it your memories are bittersweet of that day.
Yeah, definitely. It was quite, I don't. The thing about football I miss the most is the banter and the camaraderie we have in professional football, and in most dressing rooms are like that. Even the teams aren't doing particularly well. There's always a few characters in there. And I remember going to the game, and one of the lads showed me a paper with some lad had bought a load of fruit and stuff, and he was proudly posing next to the barrel of fruit and everything, telling everybody what he's going to do to me and throw all the fruit at me. You know what I mean? So the lads, as they were, took the mickey and said, "Oh yeah, you better make sure you get his name and that you can maybe use it for some shopping during the week." You know what I mean? And things like that. So we all laughed it off, but little did I know the amount of objects that were going to be thrown at me during the game, and I was nervous anyway. Even before the game started, I was a little bit sick in the toilet. Didn't say anything to anybody. Was sick. I think just nervous tension. Sorted myself out, got back out, and was ready to play. And obviously, it didn't go well. We lost 2-0, but I was so pleased just to be there. The atmosphere was electric. Yes, there
was
were.
Was it different for anything you'd ever experienced? Because you played in big games before.
Yeah, played in big games. But this atmosphere was just unique. I mean, I spoke to a lot of people about it. Who's Ray Wilkins. I remember asking Ray Wilkins, what a Milan derby, is it similar to this? He said, "Mark, I played in Manchester derbies, the Milan derbies. I played in the London derbies, and there's nothing can compare to the atmosphere at that time. It was, you could be 1 meter from somebody, you couldn't hear him speak. But particularly the first 20 minutes when it was chaotic and hectic, it was just frantic football going on. You know what I mean? So it's a unique fixture, and as I said, I've not heard anybody say that there's a better atmosphere, if you like, than the Rangers derby game, the Old Firm game, I should say.
So, as I say, bittersweet game, and obviously it's infamous, the antics of some of the fans.
Yeah.
Can you remember the Rangers team that day?
Vaguely, yeah. I think sure Terry Butcher played.
Yeah.
Ray Wilkins definitely played.
Not Terry Butcher never played.
Oh no, he broke his leg. You're right.
He broke his leg in November.
He was in the changing rooms. You're right. Actually, he was. But to be fair, if Terry was playing or not, you wouldn't know because he'd be just the same in the changing room, geeing everybody up and getting everybody going. Right. But you're right. Yeah. Chris Woods definitely played. Yep. Stuart Monroe.
Yeah.
Played. Yeah.
Your partner for a few years.
Yeah. Yeah. He was excellent to play alongside. I think Durante played. Ian Durant played.
Yep. I'll give you the team. Chris Wood, Scott Nisbet, Stuart Monroe, Graham Roberts, Ray Wilkins, Richard Gough, Mark Walters, Graham Souness himself played, Alan McCoy, Dean Durant and Davy Cooper subs, Trevor Francis and John McGregor.
Really?
And when I look at the stats for that game, Rangers never get one yellow card and get beat 2-0. Which must be a first in all 5 games.
Oh, without a doubt. I can't believe that. Someone was tackling them, but it obviously wasn't us. There was some fierce tackles going on. I remember that, the amount of tackles that was going on. But obviously, the hometown team's going to get the 50-50 decisions. But if you'd have told me that no one got booked that day, or one in our team got booked, I would have been very surprised. Yeah, that's an unbelievable statistic.
Not even the manager.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he would have got booked in the changing room after, because I remember he weren't too happy. That's for sure. You know, so. Yeah, that is unbelievable statistic. I'll have to bring that in a quiz when I go back up there this weekend.
So you've started obviously, and then did you say that you knew a bit about Scottish football? Did you realise the city? Did you realise how big Glasgow Rangers were?
No, absolutely not. I didn't. I saw a bit on a European match when they played. I think it was Dynamo Kiev, where Graham Souness got the pitch brought in. I think he let him train on it the day before, and then the day of the game he brought the pitch in, which is now illegal from all I've been told. You can't do that anymore. But that's what he did that day, and I always remember watching that game, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. I always remember watching this game. I think it was on my own in the house watching it, and I just remember the crowd and the lads. How fierce tackles were going, and I just remember thinking, what an amazing atmosphere there is. And it was in Europe as well, which was obviously one of the things that most professionals would love to play. So I didn't know the history, if you like, and how loyal the fans were and things like that, and just little bits and pieces like that. Which I'll give you an example. When I was at Aston Villa, we asked to be basically 3 or 4-0 up for the old stadium to start singing and getting behind the players, if you like. Whereas win, lose or draw, the crowd sang the same intensity, the same ferocity as they would whether losing or winning, which was fantastic. As a player, you just if you know that the crowd are going to be behind you, win, lose or draw, it's a big boost, and it's like playing with a 12th man, if you like. You know what I mean? So some of these things you really appreciate as a player. So that was amazing as a player to see that and to witness it. Yeah.
To feel that, obviously that season was a mixed season. I would say that Graham's team was in transition. He was breaking up his first team, and the team was evolving. So ultimately, we ended up we'd won the League Cup that season just before you came, but we never challenged much in the league, and we never progressed too much in Europe. So that season sort of petered out.
Yeah.
And then the 1988-89 season started. And there's one game at the start of that season sticks out in the mind. We actually went 1-0 down,
Yeah.
And we went on to win 5-1. There hadn't been a result like that between Rangers and Celtic for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Memories of that game, mate?
Yeah, it was, as you say, we went 1 down at the time, and, the crowd went silent, and, confidence in football is very important, and it knocked our confidence a bit because I thought we started reasonably well, but obviously they got the first goal. But once we equalised, it was really, it was a beautiful day as well. But once we equalised, it was really, really plain sailing after that. We played some good football, created a lot of chances. And if there's only one thing that I regret about the game is we didn't push forward more, because it could have been 8-9-1, never mind 5 that it ended up to, because we really played well that day. The lads played with a lot of progression and really looked good. So it was a great day. Obviously, scoring as well was fantastic, and being involved in a couple of goals as well was brilliant. So it was just a great day all round, and one that sticks in my memory.
Rangers team that day was Chris Woods, Gary Stevens, John Brown, Richard Gough, Ray Wilkins, Terry Butcher, Kevin Drinkle, Ian Ferguson, Alan McCoy, Dean Durant and Mark Walters.
Yeah. And
the 2 substitutes we brought on, Davy Cooper and Graham Souness. Now, some of the fans have said since then that when we brought them on, it stopped the momentum of the team and they started just strolling the game instead of going for goals that we wanted.
Yeah. Obviously, being the manager, and that he just wants the results, and I think that was what it was. Instead of him, as you say, being more progressive and going through the jugular, as it were, 5-1 he was happy with, because I've seen it before. Teams being 2-3 up, never 5, admittedly, but 2-3 up and losing the game, believe it or not, or drawing it. So being a consummate professional, obviously, I think the manager just calmed the things down, makes us keep the ball more, let them chase around, and as you say, kept it down to 5-1. But on another day, it could have been at least 7-8 easy. We were that good that day.
I think you were involved in the 3 goals in the second half, mate. My own particular favourite, obviously, Butch Wilkins scored a cracker, but Kevin Drinkle's header for your cross that day was a brilliant goal.
Yeah.
You done your famous shimmy out in the wing, crossed it in, and Drinkle put it in. Underrated player, Kevin Drinkle?
Oh, without doubt, yeah. We used to call him Panda. Actually, it was funny because he used to smoke a lot, and he had these like dark rings behind his on his eyes. And I don't know if they'd get away with it now, but half time, we'd be coming in for a team talk, and he'd be in the toilet having a cigarette, you know. So, but he was a great character, and as you say, an underrated player who scored goals and made life very difficult for defenders. Always worked hard as well. So yes, without doubt, an underrated player, but a good player, absolutely.
And who became your friends off the pitch in that team, mate? Who were the guys?
Yeah, when I first came up, I was on my own. My girlfriend, who then became who's now my ex-wife, I should say, but became my wife later on. I was there up there in Glasgow for about 6 months on my own. So the gaffer told Derek Ferguson and Ian Durant, who were near enough my age, to look after me. But that was, in the end, I think I looked after them. You know, it's one of them. When I used to go back to Birmingham, I used to come back late. Say we would train on a Sunday, and so maybe go back to Birmingham for the evening or something like that. And I always knew there'd be a party at Ian Durant's house, so I'd get there about 2:00 in the morning, and there'd be women running around the car park and all sorts going on. You know what I mean? So the fact that he was supposed to look after me, I think I ended up looking after them too. You know what I mean? But they were great characters, and they definitely helped me settle into Glasgow. And I'm eternally grateful for that because, it's the first time I was away from home, and if I needed to, go out for a quiet drink, which was virtually impossible with them too, but if I needed to go out anyway and have a relax, they'd give me a call and I'd go out with them. And I made some other friends as well, obviously being up there as well. So it's just a great little squad of lads who we did virtually everything together. Great camaraderie. We virtually go everywhere together, meals and stuff like that with girlfriends and stuff. So it was just a great place to be, and settled in very, very easily, and great. It was good at the time, but excellent.
No long after that game, obviously you had a taste of some European football that season, with Katowice and Cologne, which obviously ultimately we lost against Cologne. But the League Cup final that year, was that your first major final you played in?
Yeah, I suppose Aston Villa Super Cup.
That counts, mate. That counts, a Super Cup, yeah.
Yeah, so it was only the second one, and I was in my early 20s as well. So I'd waited a long time for that, and I always remember the day of the game. Very nervous, and really anticipating what might happen, and hoping that we'd win, and that you'd do yourself justice as well. So yeah, it was a great occasion, and to win it was, again, another little tick, because as I said, when you first start playing as a pro, you want to win cups, you want to win leagues and all these things, and the fact that I've ticked another box off was fantastic, because the worst case scenario for me would have been going through my career and not winning anything, and as I said, winning things was always the most important thing for me, not a case of other things or money or anything. I just wanted to win things and things I could show my children and my grandchildren. You know what I mean? So that was really important to me. So to win that was a great highlight for me. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously we went on again, and then games that are always important to us as Rangers supporters is Old Firm games. They're the one that sticks out. Again, you had another great performance in just a year after you joined the club at the New Year's Day game.
Yeah.
Where you managed to score 2 goals.
Yeah, was that the 4-1 game?
Yeah, the 4-1 game, yeah.
Yeah, it was... I think, did I score a penalty? I think the penalty one was...
A penalty, right?
Because that morning I was with Jim Bell. I saw Jim Bell, the kit man at the time. He was still at the club.
Still is.
Still at the club, yeah. And he was talking about celebrations and how you should celebrate and that. And he said to me, Mark, if you want... Because I knew I was going to come again. Obviously, that got a bit of stick from them in the past. And he said, Mark, what you want to do is if you score today, just get your badge and just kiss it, and that'll really wind them up. And it for some reason stuck in my mind as well. So played and got the penalty, and it was at their end as well. And obviously they're trying to put me off as you would expect. Luckily kept my calm and hit the target, which is a must when you take the penalty. It's all right missing or whatever, but if you miss the target, then no forgiveness in my book. So I looked at the target. Unfortunately, went in the goal, and just come to mind what Jimmy said to me earlier that day, and I kissed the badge, and that really did upset them for some reason. So it was great.
Never upset me, mate. Never upset me.
Yeah, well, exactly. That was for. Yeah. So it was fantastic, and obviously that settled us down, and we went on to win comfortably again in the end. Yeah.
Again, that was an equaliser, I think, to make it one each. I think they'd win one up again, and then your goal was an equaliser, and then we got another. Big Terry equalised, then your goal put us 2-1 in front.
Okay.
Ian Ferguson scored, and then you scored a lovely goal. I can still see it now when you've run through, put it in the back of the net, and you've run behind the goal and slapped hands with the whole of the Cotland Road people at the front.
Yeah.
Brilliant goal. Great memories, mate.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, for some reason we used to go behind quite often, but as I say, we all always stuck together, always kept calm and played our football. Especially when things calmed down. As I say, the first 20 minutes back in those days, the game was hectic. You know, you could have run on with a caution, smashed people over the head, and no one would have noticed the difference. You know what I mean? It was just tackles flying everywhere. And but so once it settled down, we generally used to get on top without whatever the result was.
I looked at that today, and the team, obviously there's a lot of the regulars in it, and but the one that surprised me, the fact that Nicky Walker was in goal. You forget that you always thought that Chris Woods was in goal, but Chris must have been injured. Yeah,
I think he had a balance problem in his ear. I always remember him missing a few games because he had some, I think it was a problem in his ears, and he kept losing balance or something like that. If I remember correctly. So that must have been the period of time when Nicky took over, but Chris was a fantastic goalie and very, very, very good for us. Saved us a lot of points.
We talked about Stuart Monroe, and obviously you played on his side of the pitch. Was he an unsung hero in that team?
Oh, without a doubt. He used to back me up and make a lot of runs, inside runs, and always give me a space so that to leave me one-on-one. So he always knew when to overlap when I'm struggling a little bit. He'd overlap and I'd play him in, or he's a good defender as well. And without doubt, very underrated. And him and I became good friends off the pitch as well, particularly when my ex-wife moved up to Glasgow, and we used to go out together as a family, as it were. So became a good friends, not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well.
All right, so that season progressed. We're getting the title back, and it became a famous title for us because it was the first in 9 in a row.
Yeah.
And we clinched the title against Hearts. We beat them 4-0. Mel Sterling, who was at the club for about 2 weeks, mate, came in. He scored a couple, and Kevin Drinkle scored a couple. But you were heavily involved that day in the first League Cup Championship medal. Memories, mate?
Yeah, funny enough, as you mentioned, Mel Sterling, I always remember an incident he had with Grant where I think we was trying to get some kind of tactical point over to him, and I think having come.
We appear to have lost Mark for a wee second there, I think.
Oh, you lost him for a minute, okay. Back into the room, actually. Into a room which might be less good. Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better now.
Yeah, sorry. I said, talking about Mal Sterling, I always remember the incident with him and Graham Souness where he's trying to get a tactical point over to him, and Mal was basically saying, you need to tell me what to do there, and I can't remember how much he paid for Mal, but he basically said, I haven't paid £3 million to effing tell you how to control the ball, basically, and all the players started laughing. You know what I mean? So, but he was a very, very funny character, Mal, and his wife was even funnier, believe it or not. She was a big character at the club, and it was a bit disappointed that he left so soon, as you say. He wasn't there long, but Mal was a good player, and he played well in that game, I thought, and I think, as you say, he was on the score sheet, but unfortunately, he didn't stay too long for whatever reason. But he was definitely influential when he was there. Yeah.
The obviously clinching the league at Ibrox in front of their own fans and party time. Special.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we were very close to the squad. We did virtually everything together. Probably too much, if you know what I mean. But we were really, really good squad. So once we won the title, I mean, I always remember thinking that some of the lads needed to go to the Betty Ford clinic at the time. You know what I mean? Because we drank that much. But with the partying and stuff. But yeah, as I said, we to be honest with you, even when we didn't get a good result, we always, although obviously disappointed, but we always enjoyed ourselves and quickly forgot about it and just looked for the next game to try and improve. Which, you know, admittedly we didn't lose many, but we always tried to make sure that, you know, we didn't lose too many and played well the next game especially.
And ultimately, we were robbed of a treble that year. We had dubious referee decision, but we're not going into that too much. We started the next season. Yeah, this cup final. It was a pretty dour cup final, mate. There wasn't a lot harmed in it.
No.
But obviously, you know, and one of the most consistent players that season obviously made an error, but these things happen. But you moved on to the next season, and Graham's team starting to evolve, and you're becoming one of the stars of the team. Did you feel that? Did you feel a star, or did you?
Oh, well, the club always made me feel welcome, whether it was Tiny in the canteen or the chairman. Always made me feel welcome. But just going back onto the cup final, although as you said, it was a dour game. I always remember soon as coming into the because obviously we were gutted that we didn't win the game, getting his medal and throwing it on the floor and saying, you know, I've got something for them next season. And we didn't know at the time what he meant. But obviously with the signing of Mo Johnson a few months later, then we realised what he was on about. So, but I always remember that it was a disappointing day without a shadow of doubt. But I always remember him throwing his medal on the floor. I think Scott needs to be one up and got actually, because Scott should have played actually, if I remember right, because Scott wasn't too happy about not starting him much. But I think Scott went onto the benches and picked the medal up. But I always remember the game where, as I say, we were all gutted that we lost it, and him just saying we've got an effing message for them next season, and obviously signed Mo. So, but you're right, next season was definitely different.
Yeah, we'll go to the Reg quite quickly because we beat Celtic in the League Cup final.
Yeah,
and once again, you scored a goal. You had a habit of scoring against Celtic and Hearts. I wonder how they upset you, but.
I tell you, but one of the reasons why things used to go quite well for me is also it was one of the few teams in the league that used to try and play us as well, try and play football against us. So there's a little bit more space than normal, I'd say as well, and that definitely helped me because playing with the other teams, less space, basically playing against a back seven sometimes. You know what I mean? So not much space. So, but those games a little bit more space, and obviously. The atmosphere and everything, everybody was up for it. I mean, you didn't need a manager for those games. Those games was, you know, they could sort themselves out, you know, with the adrenaline flowing and the excitement of the game. So that definitely helped me. But yeah, things did go well in those games for me. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of similarities now to what the present teams suffer? Maybe because obviously sometimes they're playing against 10 men behind the ball. It's not a good watch.
Yeah, it is difficult. It is difficult. You do need a special type of player, and sometimes even tactically, you need to be patient, you know, to play against that because it is difficult. There's no doubt about it. It's a strange thing for a forward when there's no space, and it's you know, your touch's got to be good. You got to be positive in the right times, and if they're well organised, which most teams are now, it's very difficult to break down. So yeah. Very, very similar, and you know, when you got the ball for long periods, your concentration's got to be high as well because they can obviously get you on the counter attack as well. So it's not easy, although people might think it is, but it's definitely not easy playing against a defensive-minded team. You know,
the wingers that you talked about, the wingers you played with Villa, and the people that, and obviously David Cooper at our club. right through its inception. And great wingers for Alan Morton to Willie Henderson, Willie Johnston, and then yourself and another David Cooper. This young boy will go to Snoo that people are. Have you seen much of Glenn Middleton at all? And do you think he's got a chance in the game?
I've seen little bits and pieces, but yeah, he's got a lot of potential. You know, potential means hard work, though. If he can work as hard as he has been doing and consistently, then he's got a chance. He's definitely got a chance. You know, he started his career well so far, and hopefully he can continue that. But you know, you need a special mentality as well. It's not just the ability to play for Rangers. You know, it's only certain type of players can play for these big clubs, and hopefully he's got that in his luck. I think he has, and hopefully he'll prove that. But it's going to be difficult for him because the first season is normally the easiest, and then the second season, that's when, you know, you've got to change your game maybe occasionally. You've got to do new things because you remember you play against teams maybe 4 times minimum a season, so you got to do something a little bit different. You can become predictable, so he's got to, all those things he's got to look at. But as I say, he's got potential, and yeah, who knows? I think he will. Hopefully he does anyway, because you know we need a bit more good players we got, the better.
Yeah. So we're moving on to your final season at the club. You've scored a goal. We've won the League Cup. We've actually got knocked out the European Cup. I thought they're actually an underrated side, Red Star Belgrade.
Yeah.
The boy in midfield, was it Pancho, who was a fabulous player.
There was a lad blonde lad who played for Real Madrid as well. I'm trying to think of his name.
They were a good side, mate.
Yeah,
they were a smashing side.
Yeah.
You know,
well, they've done well in the competition. I think if they didn't win it, they were in the latter stages. So
yeah,
maybe people thought we should have won, but you know we weren't playing against any mugs at all. So you know we were very unlucky in our European campaign when I was there. And as we know in any cup competition, whether it's the Champions League or the League Cup, you just need a bit of luck, and we definitely didn't get any anyway. That's for sure.
No, with a draw. So we moved on. That season was developing. There was a famous game where you got one of your 3 red cards, and I don't know. It was the same 2 teams involved in all your red cards. That was Hearts and Celtic. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know why we got upset playing against them. But the day you get sent off, it was one of your last games for the club. But there was also another 2 players get sent off that day. The dressing room must have been bizarre.
It was quite funny, actually. Funny, not at the time, but I could look, funny peculiar. It was. I remember getting sent off. I was very frustrating. I think I might even have done my hamstring as well in the meantime or just before. I can't remember, but I definitely wasn't 100%. And I came off, and I was so gutted at the time, really, because it was, that competition was fantastic. I loved playing that competition, and I remember going in and sitting down on the bench, and then looking up, and I think it was either Mark Haitley or Terry Hurlock came in as well. And I mean, what's happened? What's happened? He said, I've been sent off as well. So there's 2 of us sitting down there, and then I'm sure it was Terry Hurlock came in, and so there's 3 of us sitting in the dressing room. I think, oh my God, I think we've got get. I'm sure I said if you get one more off, they've got to abandon the game, So I think it was our only hope of winning the game is getting it abandoned, I suppose. But it was disappointing, but it was just one of those things. I was really embarrassed and ashamed that to get sent off, in that kind of game when the lads needed us, and very disappointing. And it took a long time to get over that result. I mean, I think what I've noticed about clubs as well is, the bigger clubs, it mentally takes a long time to get over bad results like that. Whereas when you're playing for the Swindons and the Bristol Rovers, we lose Saturday, and by Monday everybody's forgotten about it. But the bigger the club, I think the more it hurts. It seems to me, when you lose a match, and that game hurt.
We've got a guy, Bridgman, who comes on the show, and because his son loses, it'll be Wednesday before he leaves. Yeah,
it's true. I think it's just true. Yeah,
and he's just a fan.
Yeah.
So on you go, Mark.
No, you're right. I think that's one of the reasons why players play at that level consistently or for many years, and whereas I wouldn't say the lesser players, the players who play at a low level, they can just get over results very quickly. And maybe that's the reason why they're playing at that level, whereas the players where it hurts more, they play at a higher level invariably. That's from my experience anyway. There'd
been a change of manager at the club then, obviously Walter came in. did you feel was there any difference, or was it seamless because Walter had been there the whole time, or was there a difference?
Walter did a lot of the coaching anyway, and it was, I think, basically seamless. I mean, they made a great double act together because, you know, Graham Souness was more of the abrasive type, and he didn't take any nonsense, whereas Walter was more a bit of a better man manager. You know, he wouldn't take any nonsense. Don't get me wrong, but he'd give you the benefit of doubt, or make you feel like, you know, have a quiet word with you instead of saying, like, say someone was a little bit late or for training, for what, and it wasn't their fault. Say it was just traffic, and he'd just have a little word and say, "Look, man, you got to make sure that doesn't happen again." Whereas if maybe if the manager Souness did it, he'd let everybody know that, you know, if you do that once more, you're going to get fined, and that was just his approach to it. And they made a great double act together. But if they never gave Walter the opportunity to manage, it would have been a travesty, because he deserved the chance to manage the team, because he, as you say, he was an integral part of the management team. And once he got his assistant in, then he could do the things the way he wanted to, and obviously it turned out to be a masterstroke for the club. Yeah. Because he, you know, he's one of the, you know, legendary managers now. Yeah, he is.
Things were developing, and I'll be honest with you, I think the only reason your club let you go was because of the 3 foreigner, 3 non-Scotsman rule that was coming in the next season.
Yeah.
It sounds bizarre now.
Yeah.
But one of the last kick of the ball, I remember you personally making, and it was a great day for us. We had lost 3-0 to Motherwell the previous week. Yeah. Everybody was dying on their feet.
Yeah.
People were injured during the game.
Yeah.
Mark Hateley scored one, put the fear of death into the Aberdeen goal, and then scored one of the finest goals we've seen at Ibrox. One of your crosses.
Yeah.
Mark Hateley scores it in, headers it in. We've won the league against all the odds. Your memories of that game, apart from everybody getting carried off and people getting injured and hobbling about, but what a day.
Yeah, it was. But the week before, as you say, we lost that game 3-0, and it was partly was my fault as well, because I missed the penalty that day. And
I didn't want to mention that, Mark.
Yeah, I remember, I didn't miss many, but that was one of them. And it's, even now, it got to me now. Never mind, it's like 30 years later. But I missed the penalty, and I blame myself. I blame myself. So all that week we were decrying our luck, and as I said, when you're at big clubs, or I don't know if it's just big clubs, I'm sure it is, but it takes a long time to get over a game. But we had to get over it. We had to get over that result, and so leading up to it, we were all apprehensive, and confidence was a bit low after that result. So I always remember the game, you know, really, really tense, a lot of tense. Very few of us were 100% fit. There's a funny story about eventually my hamstring goes because it was sore, I think, anyway. And John Brown's Achilles tendon snapped, I think, during the game. And I think the reason why I stayed on as opposed to him is because he literally couldn't walk. So I'm saying I better come off with my hamstring. He'd say, no, you stay on. You've got a relatively, you know, small injury. My Achilles has snapped, you know. So he used to wind me up about that, saying, I had a little slight muscle injury where his Achilles has snapped and I'm the one coming off, you know. But it was a horrendous injury time, and very few people were fit who were on the pitch. And for us to get 2-0 result there was, you know, real stroke of luck as well as endeavour. So we were very pleased with the result, and obviously, I think I remember giving Mark a kiss once we scored. I was that happy, you know what I mean? So it was a great day.
Great cross as well, mate. Great cross.
Yeah, well, honestly, Mark made the most of that. I mean, it was only him I could aim for, admittedly, but he would outjump most people, particularly with the running jump, and he soared above. I think he was kind of a centre half, but he soared against him and planted the ball right in the net, and he was a fantastic header, which he was capable of doing all the time.
And that was your last game for our club, mate.
Yeah.
And your career progressed on to Liverpool, Southampton, Swindon Town, Bristol Rovers. But while you were with your club, you managed to get an international cap, which it was only one cap, but you've still been capped for your country, mate. So
yeah.
How did that feel at the time?
Yeah, it
19.
was fantastic. I mean, after the Aberdeen game, as I said, I pulled my hamstring, so I got the call about a few days later that I was going to get called, and I was chuffed. But I debated with the family, shall I go or not, because the hamstring wouldn't heal in time. There's no way it's going to heal in time. However, I've been desperate for a cap and being involved in the England squad for years before that, and I thought it might be okay if I just look after it and make sure it's all right. But it was never all right. But I couldn't miss the opportunity, so that was a little bit bittersweet because I feel do myself justice in the game, and didn't play as well as I'd love to have played, and unfortunately it turned out to be my only cap as well. So after that, I was very disappointed, and that it was the only cap. But I did have a lot of players ahead of me, if you like. A lot of, Chris Waddle, John Barnes, Sinton played there. Steve Hodge played there, who I was with at Villa. So I knew it was going to be difficult after that. But as I say, the cap is I really treasure it, and a lot of players. I've just talked to Ian Snowden earlier today, and I played with him in England youth and under 21s. He played a lot of under 21 games, and he never actually played a full game himself. He was a great player, and that goes for a lot of players who had good club careers who never actually played for England. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. And as I say, it was a tick off the bucket list, if you like, that I had. So I was very, very honoured to have represented England, at full level.
And so you should be, mate. It's a cap, but then you moved to Liverpool with Graham again, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously Liverpool again were in transition. Graham came in.
Yeah.
He had these health problems. It wasn't maybe the best of times to join Liverpool, who up until around about that time had been the top team in England. But did you enjoy your time there?
Yeah, it was a fantastic period of time. Don't get me wrong. The only reason why I left and probably the only reason why Rangers let me leave was that 3 foreigner rule what was coming in, and I always didn't want to be the reason why I didn't play was because of that silly rule, which they rescinded about a year later anyway. So
yeah, quite quickly it became illegal.
Yeah, illegal. So I wish I'd have just stuck it out in the end. That's how my mind was. But I don't regret anything I did at the time. That was a situation. I was got to get on with it. I was leaving a fantastic club, but I knew that I had to go for that reason. And I had a great time at Liverpool. Unfortunately, we didn't win the things that I wanted us to win when I went there, which was the league, which they'd won a couple of years before that, and some other things, and maybe Champions League that I was hoping that we could win, having got back into Europe as a country. So again, it was a fantastic move for me, and it's just a shame that we didn't win the things that, as I say, as a footballer, you want to win things. That's the only reason why I played, is because I wanted to win things. Unfortunately, we didn't win enough at Liverpool. You would only play for. Well, let me just get up. Stoke City, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Southampton, Swindon Town, Bristol Rovers, in nearly a 20-year career, mate. Yeah. Fabulous career, fabulous player, great memories for us, and you've now collated all your memories on and off the park into a book, mate. One of the friends of our show has helped you write the book, Jeff Holmes, mate. How was that as an experience? It was very cathartic, because there was some memories that I had that I even suppressed maybe, or not spoke about, and put it on the back burner, if you like. So to get all those memories and things off my chest, which a lot of things were said that didn't really reflect what I felt at the time, and going through them and making them public was really good for me. I really enjoyed the process of making the book, and it's really interesting, and I do really recommend it, not just because it's my book, but just because there's some interesting facts that a lot of people won't know about me, as I was a relatively private person, didn't really get or caught the publicity, if you like. So there'll be some good facts in there what people won't know. So I think it's a really good read, yeah.
Well, Rangers Radio is going to have 2 copies off of Mr. Holmes, and hopefully they'll have your signature on them, and we'll be giving them away as prizes, mate, for some of our listeners, mate.
Yeah,
And if we get one, I'll be getting one indeed. And you must have took a lot of time thinking on the title of the book.
There's a few ones were put to me, and I had a couple of myself. But I thought, a lot of people said I used to try and wing it half the time in some things I used to do. So I thought, it's a bit apt playing on the wing as well. A lot of my career, and it was just apt. And I thought, that's the one. As soon as I heard it, I said, that's the title of the book.
When I seen that, when it first came out, I thought the title was superb, mate. I think it suits.
Yeah.
I think you're one of the finest wingers to play for our club in the modern era, mate. It was an absolute pleasure watching you. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I hope your books are a roaring success. And anytime you want to come on this show and speak about anything you're doing Rangers related, we'll be more than willing to have you on, Mark.
Oh, that's really kind of you to say. It was an absolute pleasure playing for Glasgow Rangers, and they have a special part in my heart from then. And I remember someone saying to me, "When you play for Rangers, you're Rangers for life." And I thought, that they say that every club, but it's so totally true. I mean, the way they accepted me and the way they, backed me up, and from the tea lady, as I said, Tiny, to the chairman at the time, Mr. Murray. Looking after my family the way they did, there's no way I could ever say a bad word for Glasgow Rangers. And I'm a fan myself now. Anyway, I always look out for the results, and I always go up there. And I'm going to my game on Sunday, the Hearts game. So the special club, and some special people at the club as well. So it was an absolute pleasure to play for Glasgow Rangers.
And it was a pleasure watching you, Mark. Mark Walters, for everybody here at Rangers Radio, thanks for taking the time to join us, and don't be a stranger.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Yeah, thanks. Good night. Bye.
I've sailed the wide Atlantic, across the broad Pacific shore. I've sailed around the stormy capes, I've heard the parties roar. I fly the Indian Ocean, I've sailed the China Sea. Well, there's a sea back home in Scotland, means more than all the rest to me. It's the blue, yes, the blue sea of thy brow. It's the greatest sight that I have ever seen. It's the blue, yes, the blue sea of thy brow. And it happens when the orange beat the green. No more I'll sail the seven seas, no more I'll ever roam. No more I'll feel the urge again, I'm back where I belong. At 3 o'clock each Saturday, I'll join a happy throng, with Rangers banners all around. We'll proudly sing this song. It's the blue, yes, the blue sea of thy brow. It's the greatest sight that I have ever seen. It's the blue, yes, the blue sea of thy brow. And it happens when the orange beat the green. the blue, it's the blue sea of eyebrows. It's the greatest sight that I have ever seen. It's the blue sea of eyebrows. And it happens when the orange meet the green.